Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we're back again with day 5 AQ video, and this time we're going to be actually sporting quite a lot of Night Thrasher. So as always I'm doing path 111. So this is day 5, so the opponents are relatively more stacked. However, it's still nothing like overly horrible, and we have what's yours is mine node here. So basically the way it works, I'll explain once again, is if whenever we place a weakness on opponent, we gain a fury buff that increases our attack. And if we do not have a fury buff active from this effect, so it does not count any other fury buffs, then we only deal 25% of our normal damage. So ways to deal with this node is basically either run champion that places a lot of weaknesses and frequently on opponent, or simply run Resonate Mastery and you're good to go. So we have started the fight off against the Yellow Jacket. He has all 3 debuffs active, Taunt is active, so we're building up our Furies, we're hitting harder and harder with each skateboard attack we land. We can get up to 10 Furies, and then we're going to be basically hitting like a tank if we get a Fury from that what's yours is mine node. But here we landed a nice level 2, we finished off with like over 20k crit, and this is Night Thrasher without any of his synergies. So with Darkhawk synergy he can close to double his damage output. But yeah, so that was fairly easy. We did make a small slip up, but we didn't get punished too hard. Now we're gonna go and face off against this Mordo. Now Mordo sometimes is stingy, as we all know. Sometimes he likes to save his power, get to level 3, and well, then the good part is that Mordo's level 3 doesn't really hit that hard. Now the 2 good things in this matchup, number 1 is the fact that we can parry and punish him, just because all Night Thrasher's skateboard attacks have true accuracy on them, therefore he can't evade them. And second bit is that that's going to help us later on out is the taunt mechanic Night Thrasher has, so he is more likely to throw his special attacks. But first we do need to get that taunt active. So we have Incinerate on opponent already. Now we're just gonna get shock debuff on him, also at the same time disabling that power gain. And we need to get that taunt going so we can start building up our Furies. So that is exactly what we do right now. We have taunt on opponent. Unfortunately I do make a slip up here. Luckily he does decide to throw his level 2 in the last minute as well though. But yeah, we had taunt active, so we built up a bunch of Furies, and we're going to do the same again basically. And we also need to make sure we knock him down fairly consistently, so we can keep all our debuffs, because they get refreshed every time basically we knock down opponent. So at this point he's at 44% power, 44% health. Our Night Thrasher is at 73%. However, here we are in the danger zone, because he does not want to throw his level 3. And so I just went for it through my heavy attack to make sure that my debuffs don't expire. But now we have to eat that level 3 from this Mordo, which is annoying, but luckily it doesn't hit all that hard, as I mentioned before. And additional thing is the fact that whenever we do get knocked down ourselves, we lose all our Furies. Luckily we had taunt active, as we just threw heavy attack before we got knocked down. That meant that we built up our Fury stacks like super quickly back up. So we still have like a minute left in this fight. It's pretty much under control. We are on 52% health. He's at 20-something% health. Now we just needed that weakness debuff to apply from Resonate in order to be able to deal our real damage, and the fight is over. So definitely not my smoothest Mordo fight. However, it wasn't like all that bad. We're still alive and kicking. And lucky for me, Night Thrasher is a fairly bulky dude, so he can take a punch and keep on going, because he has increased physical resistance. Now this War Machine with his like double line node, or whatever it's called, is always a great time for Dr. Voodoo. So even though this week Mystic Champions do 40% less damage than they normally would do, still 35 poisons on War Machine is always a good time, and he's going down like in seconds. It's like super easy fight, kind of like thank you Kabam for that node, I guess. And here we drop another level 1. If he wouldn't die from it, we would convert even more buffs into poisons. So yeah, that War Machine had absolutely no chance there. Right, and now we are moving on to Spider-Gwen. Now Spider-Gwen, after her update, is a fairly tricky defender. Luckily, Night Thrasher has true accuracy on his skateboard kicks, therefore he is able to deal with her relatively easily. We just need to kind of remember to stick to our mediums, to stick to our heavy attacks, and she also can't evade our special attacks, so that's always helpful. So here's our first level 1, that's going to place Incinerate on her. Now we need to evade her level 1, which we didn't, however we lucked out over there. We blocked, and also it's really useful Night Thrasher's power gain mechanic. Whenever he's under a bar of power, if we happen to use Dexterity Mastery or Parry, we do gain like 5% of power, so that adds up quite quickly, and that does help you with your setup immensely. So at this point she's already on a bunch of debuffs. We're gonna land another level 1 to place our last one. I think I messed up the order. Yeah, I shouldn't have landed it in this sequence. I needed to add in another light attack in the combo to place the Disorient instead, which is what I do now. So now we are at basically max furies. We have all our debuffs going. We're doing really solid damage. So a minute in the fight and she has hardly any health left. Obviously we also have class advantage in this fight, which is awesome. Now we just need to wait for that weakness debuff from Resonate to apply to deal our like real damage, and we still don't have it, so we are hitting currently for 25% of what we normally would, which is kind of annoying. This node I'm not a big fan, but overall I suppose it's not too bad. So dropping another level 1 to refresh our debuffs. I'm just gonna finish it off with a couple of hits and she goes down. So yeah, when you are relying on Resonate Mastery for your weakness on this node, it's always kind of RNG reliant. Next fight we're going to be taking a look at is Falcon. Now Falcon is like the last fight of my section 1 before I go to bed. And for this one I'm just going to take in Ghost, because that block damage on level 1 can get annoying and Ghost can phase that one for most part. So Ghost has like a really good matchup over here. We should be able to close this fight out relatively quickly. So we drop a level 2. Unfortunately we did not have any weaknesses or furies on us, so we didn't really do any damage there, but it's alright. We're just gonna get to another level 2 super quickly by phasing Falcon's level 1, and it's overall quite an easy time. I make a mistake here, and that mistake was fairly simple. I let him push me to 3 bars of power, so we do need to sit through a level 3 animation, which I'm not a fan of. But oh well, let's just take a minute to check out how Ghost punches this Falcon in the face a couple of times. Now we're back in the fight. Falcon's at 2 bars of power, and we just need to finish it out. Kind of one thing you need to be careful about Falcon is do not accidentally trigger his like lock on, because then you have like no ability accuracy, and that can be fairly dangerous. So yeah, you do need to keep an eye when he starts his timer, if you do hit him when he just dashed back. But aside from that, Falcon definitely a fairly easy opponent. Most annoying thing about Falcon is the block damage you have to take if you let him use his level 1s, obviously unless you're using Ghost, because against Ghost you get a load of power and it's a fun time overall. So we're dropping level 2, that finishes the fight, and that's me done for the evening, and I can easily go to bed. And yeah, so now we're just spending the energy, and that's about it. We're heading to bed. We're not gonna take that Iceman, it's still linked anyways, and it has like all or nothing on it. So I was like, yeah, no, somebody else is gonna handle it who is supposed to. And now in morning, so here I am definitely still with like my bed brain active, but still we're taking in Night Thrasher, because Night Thrasher should have overall fairly decent matchup against this guy. Now we are gonna be getting less power because of Moon Knight's awakened ability, but it's not too big of a deal. Also, we can pretty much prevent Moon Knight from evading if he's on a wait phase. I honestly can never keep like a track of it. I have checked out his abilities to make sure I know which one is a wait phase, but I always forget. But anyways, we got lucky here with Taunt super early on with only 1 gadget debuff. So that's cool. So that helped us build Furies quickly in the fight, do more damage. And yeah, so this path is Freezer Burn. So basically whenever we hit him, we have a chance to get incinerated. Whenever we hit his block, we have a chance to get Cold Snap on us. So Night Thrasher is Incinerate immune. He is not Cold Snap immune, means I cannot hit his block at all. Otherwise I risk getting Cold Snap on myself. But if we kind of keep the fight basic and simple. It shouldn't be too much of trouble. Now I did take a risk there. I tapped his block once. Luckily I didn't get punished for it. And yeah, he's nearly dead, so there's absolutely no problem for Night Thrasher. Now next fight's Heimdall, and Heimdall can be a bit of a jerk on these nodes. So you guys are gonna see what I mean. And yeah, so we're moving on to next fight, and that's Heimdall. So this Heimdall has strike back on it. So we all know that Heimdall's level 2 is annoying because you can't evade it. You basically need to take in block. So he's defensive and he has strike back. So we don't really want to throw our special attacks. And he also obviously has freezer burn. Now, a similar kind of situation applies with Ghost. We do not really want to hit Heimdall's block just because then we can get that cold snap on us. And if we can't phase it off, we're going to be taking unnecessary damage. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to try and play this one safe. I'm going to drop some heavy attacks if he has True Strike active to basically not take a chance of him auto-blocking me. And then that Heimdall just kind of refused to play with me, and he's not gonna throw his level 1. Then he catches me on dash back, and at this point I'm kind of starting to hate him even more. And it's one of those awkward fights. I don't know what it is about Heimdall, but he catches me fairly frequently, especially because I do this fight like super early in the morning, and for whatever reason, typically if I do mess up, it's normally in section 2 when I'm still like super sleepy. But nonetheless, we took a hit. He's down to 58%, 56%. We're not really dealing too much damage to him. We again need to bait out his level 1. And this fight is going slow, definitely much slower. Like, that is kind of like the price you pay for running Ghost without suicides. And I didn't want to change my mastery setup to accommodate Ghost. And besides, I wanted to have more Night Thrasher gameplay on my channel. Now, we didn't kind of heavy him, so we got auto-blocked. So we took a risk there. We are dealing some damage, and I actually completely forgot that I'm just supposed to do like 4 hit combos against this Heimdall to actually try and get incinerated to help me with my damage output. But I'm gonna write that off on my kind of bad brain. So we are nearly 2 minutes in this fight, and this guy is still alive, so I'm clearly not playing to my best of abilities. And Heimdall, yeah, he's defensive and he doesn't really like to attack us too much. I got incinerated there, so it's good we got a passive fury, 2 of them, but he just won't throw his special attack, and then he hits us with a combo, and then there comes level 2, which is unblockable, and we die. So Ghost had a very short showing in this Day of Alliance quest, and we're gonna have to go in and finish it off with Night Thrasher, because obviously Voodoo isn't incinerate immune, so he would die there pretty much instantly. Luckily, we still had some health left on Night Thrasher. Now, we do need to be careful of his power gain buff at the start of the fight that comes from his awakened ability. Luckily, he didn't have too many buffs active, and it didn't push him to like 2 bars of power. But other than that, the fight's fairly simple. We just need to bait out his special attacks, make sure we don't hit his block, because he can't auto-block us. That is awesome. And we need to be careful of the strike back. So yeah, that is the reason why I initially didn't want to take in Night Thrasher against this guy, because of strike back and the fact that I kind of have to spam my special attacks to build him up. But it is what it is. So he didn't have too much health left, and we're finishing it off fairly easily. 1 more level 1 and he goes down. So it is unfortunate that we lost Ghost kind of like in the middle of section 2, but like honestly, aside from using Ghost on the boss, and I think mini boss was like down pretty much at that point already, so I can't use Ghost in section 3 because section 3 is acid wash, which I'm gonna have like a bit of a rant about later on, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, Ghost, I didn't really need it later on anyways, maybe aside from this fight. So we do need to be careful against Yondu because he starts out unblockable. But now that we have waited out the unblockable, there's nothing difficult about this fight. You just kind of need to make sure we don't hit his block, that we don't kind of try and parry him from close distance, because those hits can't be parried. They also can cause bleed on you. So that is like the tricky bit about Yondu. Once you do know that you can safely parry him whenever he dashes in at you on his medium hit, you're pretty much good to go. Yondu is like a very simple opponent to deal with. If you actually know like that one basic thing about him. So we have a couple of debuffs on him. We're gonna throw heavy attack in a second, try and get taunt. which we do right about now. So we can start building up our Furies, which is awesome. And now that we're going to be able to hit harder thanks to our Furies, we're going to be able to close this fight out like in a matter of couple of combos. We're at 5 Furies, we're going to drop another heavy attack to refresh our debuffs. 7 Furies now because 2 hits on the heavy attack are skateboards. And another level 1, he's at 29%. That didn't crit, so he's still at 20%. Damage over time debuffs are still putting in a bit of work, even though they're not like too potent. A nice heavy attack. The fight is over. Nothing kind of like to fuss about. And now we are going to be moving on to section 3. And as I mentioned before, section 3, I'm once again on path 1, and it's Acid Wash. And now what Acid Wash states is if opponent poison debuffs and passives deal 25% more damage, and then they also say if they are not inflicted with poison or passive effect, you deal 90% less damage. So I have been testing out several champions on this lane, and it's bugged as hell. None of the passives work. I have tested out Nick Fury, his passive Inner Bleed, that does not work. Now we're going to be taking a look at Night Thrasher, a 3-minute long fight. So Night Thrasher has a passive effect on his level 3 that extends the duration of all my debuffs. That's going to do absolutely nothing to this guy as well. And who else did I test out? I tested out Human Torch with his Nova Flames. Those do not deal regular damage and do not kind of bypass that node. And I tested out Archangel. Archangel works to a degree, but not because neurotoxins are passive, but only if you stack a bunch of neurotoxins on opponent, and then they kind of lower the ability accuracy from the node, and you are able to deal damage because of ability accuracy reduction, not because of the fact that neuros are passive. Like if you have 1 neurotoxin on him, you're still not going to be able to deal damage. So only things that work on this node are poisons, and that's annoying because there are only like a handful of characters that can consistently keep opponents poisoned, or at least for a fair amount of time. And like realistically now you have Mysterio who can do that, and Voodoo. And aside from those 2 champions, you can use Archangel to lower accuracy, or you're basically kind of stuck, and that is like really stupid and annoying. And this node has been in Alliance Quest for like many weeks now. It still hasn't been fixed. So I'm definitely not a happy bunny taking this node, especially in this kind of case when it's Mystic attack penalty week. So Mystic champions deal minus 40% of their regular damage just because of the global node. And also obviously we have to deal with class disadvantage on Captain America and Sentry later on. So yeah, it is annoying and frustrating, bugged node. And what's worth, like nobody's like even really talking or doing anything about this and too much, and only reason why it is so is just because Voodoo works, and everybody is kind of in a mindset, well, you can just use Voodoo for it, right? But yeah, no, this is like another definite fail from Kabam, and what's worse is nobody's actually doing anything about it because everybody's just kind of brushing it off. Because when we had that unblockable node that was bugged and that was difficult to deal with, everybody made a fuss and it got like fixed relatively quickly, at least to a degree where they reduced the attack penalty to 50%, and it wouldn't be too hard to do the same for this node, but no, they will not. Okay, so now we are at Spider-Man. Now Spider-Man technically isn't my fight, it's the fight of the guy who is doing the path next to me. However, I still had a few health points left on my Night Thrasher, so I figured I might as well head in there just because Night Thrasher has absolutely no issues dismantling all Spider characters, just because he can completely bypass that evade, he gains the power, and he hits hard, and he has class advantage, and he has pretty much all the things going for him in this fight. So he's also bulky, so we can take a bit of block damage if need be. And yep, so here we have Incinerate on him already. We just play Shock. We're just gonna refresh those debuffs, hopefully get Taunt. Now we're gonna start building out our Furies, and that Spider is already nearly dead. So yeah, that is a super easy fight for a Night Thrasher. And yeah, so we're gonna move on to the next one. And in the next fight, we're gonna have a small whoopsie. So again, rest of the 3 fights on my path that I have remaining in section 3 are all Acid Wash, so it's all pretty much Dr. Voodoo or 58 timeouts. So this case, Punisher. Now Punisher is quite an annoying one just because he's level 1. Now I can evade his level 1 if need be, but not consistently. So typically I just end up blocking it, and yeah, I quite often fail at evading that level 1. Now I do need to definitely put in some more practice just because taking all that block damage can be annoying. Even though like typically it's not all that bad, just because of the Duke global node here, we are able to build those Furies up, so we are going to be doing more damage. And Voodoo has some heal at the beginning of the fight that can help mitigate some of that block damage. And overall, we are able to kind of squeeze through this fight just fine. Unfortunately, I will mess up at some point in this fight, and I'm gonna eat a combo, and that's gonna be pretty much it, just because he's at 30 KPI, and yeah, so one slip up is gonna almost kill me, and then a couple of level 1s in block will finish the job for him. So yeah, that is pretty much also the reason why I find these nodes like Acid Wash and stuff like really annoying, because you have to take like a specific counter to them, and if you mess up, like the rest of your champions aren't gonna do much good to you. And yeah, so Acid Wash definitely is a bad node design as far as I'm concerned, and bugged at the same time. So yeah, so here we made a mistake, so we had to go revive up. I used a small revive, 2 potions. We didn't heal back up full, just because we start with that healing on Dr. Voodoo regardless, and Punisher was like below 60% health, so we should be able to kind of stick this one out. And once again, we're gonna try our best to take advantage of that Duke node to build those passive Furies to increase our damage output. Now we need to bait out his level 1 right here, and then we kind of can start placing poisons on him and do our thing. And that's about it. There's nothing like much to it. It's fairly kind of basic Voodoo fights. Therefore, I'm going to speed up the remaining fights of this lane, because the rest of the fights are against Winter Soldier and Sentry, and they are fairly easy and basic. Just kind of like hope for decent RNG, hope for some of your loss to convert to poison. So try your best to keep the poison on opponent, and basically slowly but surely take them down with your regular hits and that poison damage. And aside from that, yeah, so it's like super basic kind of like Voodoo gameplay. So the Punisher fight's nearly over, and then next is going to be Winter Soldier, and then after Winter Soldier it's Sentry, which is another class disadvantage fight, but Sentry is fairly easy to play against. And yeah, so I also have to wait here to be unlinked. But that's gonna more or less do for my commentary here in these fights. And yeah, guys, let me know if you are enjoying these AQ videos. Do you guys want me to keep uploading 1 or 2 a week, just to kind of show how global nodes change and what kind of variations of Map7 we are doing? I'm gonna be trying to use like a couple of different opponents as well to kind of keep it fresh and interesting. And basically, yeah, let me know if you guys like these AQ Map7 videos, and if you do, then definitely hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, share to your friends, maybe they are interested how Map7 looks like if you're not playing it yourself. And other than that, I think I'm gonna be pretty much done for today. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that bell icon, stay notified whenever I'm going to be uploading new videos. Don't forget to leave a comment, let me know what you guys thought about this video. But that is, yeah, me done for today. I hope you guys find these videos entertaining, and I'm gonna catch you guys real soon. See ya.